What's up, guys? Ben here, bringing you another video today. The Major 5 qualifiers kick off this week with week 1. Normally we do these videos on Wednesday. I'm recording this on Thursday. As you guys know, we had a lot to cover earlier on this week. So let's dive in and see who is going to win their first set of matches during the Major 5 cycle. All right, so here are the matches we have for week 1. There's a couple of really exciting ones on the plate, and we'll get to those as we start. But let's go with the top left, starting with week 1. First matchup, LAG versus FAZE. It's going to be kind of a running theme, I think, at this point in the season, that we're not going to be particularly high on teams like Florida, LAG, and London, because I think they have less to play for and are likely not going to make champs unless they have like literally one of the best splits of all time and things just kind of break their way. In the case of this matchup, obviously FAZE coming off their third place performance at Major 4. They've only played like LAG once this season. I looked it up before this, and it was like way earlier on in the year. It was like during the Major 2 qualifiers when FAZE reverse swept them. Really surprising we haven't had this matchup more to think about it, because there's obviously storylines with like Alec versus the team, blah, blah, blah. Either way, I just don't see LAG winning this one. I'm going to say a 3-0. I could see a 3-1 if LAG take a map. I think the key thing for FAZE is how is their respawn going to look during this split. But I think they should be able to beat LAG comfortably. And I think, yeah, 97.5 to 2.5 is about as lopsided as I've seen in terms of prediction. So I think the community's feeling this one might be a quick one. All right, next up we have OPTIC versus Vegas. Now this one could get kind of interesting because Vegas is a team that will play Mercado, will play Fortress S&D, and may even score up on maps that Expo control that OPTIC may be trying to work on during the split. So I think this matchup could get kind of close. Now, the problem is OPTIC is definitely the better team than Vegas, like hands down. And I think in the predictions you see it. I just think this one could be potentially closer than expected. I'm going to say OPTIC 3-1. I got Vegas taking one of those maps. And I think if OPTIC don't come out and play their A game, I could see Vegas winning this one. But purely on like a talent level, I think OPTIC, even if they lose like a map 1 Mercado hardpoint, they lose a Mercado search, or maybe Fortress S&D is map 2 in this. Like, I see OPTIC being fine, and Vegas's weaknesses in control, I think, are going to be a problem probably in this series to prevent them from really like getting any damage done. But if it goes game 5, you never know in this series. And then finally, we have our final matchup, and I think this is probably the best one of the day: Toronto versus Seattle. I think these teams have played a couple of times this year, and every time I remember they played, it's gone to game 5. So Toronto's got the edge in control. Hardpoint is probably pretty 50-50. I mean, Toronto can beat them on Fortress. Toronto can beat them on Hotel, kind of like Seattle, and sort of when it comes to like maybe Hydro or Embassy. But even then, like Toronto's probably the better Hydro team. I think I probably got Toronto last map against Seattle. I think the control thing might be sort of very helpful to Toronto because I think they're just a better, or should be the better control team on paper in this matchup. But here's the problem with Toronto. They lost a lot of game 5s last split. I'm banking on them to kind of stem that tide. Hopefully they don't bite me in the butt here by losing a tough one. All right, so those are the Friday matches. Let's talk about Saturday. We kick things off with the matches going to be in St. Paul, Minnesota. As you see, Minnesota playing twice. On Saturday, it's going to be London versus Minnesota. I think London for the Minnesota home crowd. I hate to say it, I think this might be a 3-0 ski. I just don't see much of life within the Royal Ravens right now. They only won a couple of maps during Major 4. It's not good, man. It's not good. So I'm going to have Minnesota kind of clean sweep that one and kind of, roll with the momentum in the building. All right, we got New York versus Vegas, and this one's a big one for both teams. New York trying to grab some of that momentum they got from the last split with their decent placing and trying to play a little better towards the end of the season here. Now, obviously, we've talked a lot about Vegas's kind of situation, and they played a lot this year, and New York's kind of dominated this matchup. I don't really see that changing. I'm going to spot Vegas a map, probably an S&D, but I think New York keep it going and move to 4-0 against Vegas on the season. All right, next up we have Boston versus the Minnesota Rocker. And so assuming that Minnesota's coming off that hot win against London, I think potentially Boston could present an interesting matchup to them. I just worry about the team that plays second in these sort of home series, and there's only 3 teams, in terms of like who Boston could actually play to warm them up and the facilities and just like how much they care actually winning on the trip. Now, they did just make a roster change with Reese Vivid coming in for Nero, so that actually adds an interesting dynamic. And I think these teams haven't played in a while. I'm trying to remember. I'm actually scrolling through my sheet right now. Major 2 qualifiers was the last time these teams played in the beginning of the Major 2 qualifiers. So we're talking like early January since the last time these teams played. I am going to say, purely because this would be the best team that Rocker has played at one of these lands, I'm going to say that it's going to go last map. I'm going to say 3-1 Minnesota. I think Rocker will win 2 and go 4-0 on land home series this week and the previous week that they played last major. I don't know how warm Boston's going to be, but if Boston's warm, I can see Rocker losing this. I'm just going to bank on Rocker just kind of carrying that momentum in this matchup. And then finally, we have a great matchup. LA Thieves versus Toronto. Toronto's got 2 really good matchups this week, 2 really hard ones. I think most people probably got it banked on LA Thieves in this matchup. It looks like they have played 3 times this season. Toronto won 2, and then Thieves won the last one in February. I think Thieves is probably the better team in form right now. That being said, for Thieves, first match of the split, coming off a victory. I think the record for teams winning this matchup is usually pretty good, but again, I'm going to do a game 5er based on the talent of these teams, and Thieves will take that. And that's not a bad result for Toronto. You know, winning versus Seattle, losing versus Thieves, 1-1, being like 5-5 map count on the week would be not bad. Something to build upon, and they'd be fine on a good path to qualifying in the winners bracket for their event they'll be doing in their backyard. Sliding the screen over here so you guys can clearly see these Sunday's matchups. Unfortunately, the layout of the page is not great for these videos, but whatever. We got the Sunday matchups here. We're gonna start with LAG versus Florida. I really don't know who to pick in this one. It looks like people have it pretty split, and they played twice this season. Florida took 1, LAG took 1. They went game 5. I'm going to say Florida last map, but I have neither faith in either team. This is a coin flipper. Neither team is looking in great form, and you got a lot of players playing for league spots next season. But I would say that maybe Florida's a team I trust more than right now than LAG, and so we'll go game 5 there, but that's a massive coin flipper. All right, we got a big one, OPTIC Texas versus FAZE, and OPTIC has had FAZE's number now for about a year and a half, and I don't think that FAZE, I'm trying to remember if FAZE has beat them online. I don't remember if they have, and I can't pick it again. I'm going to give FAZE 1 map. With this matchup, man, FaZe has to win their map picks and respawns, and they just haven't been able to do it, whatever, in these matchups. And they've also lost a lot of second map S&Ds against OPTIC, and that's why a couple of these have been 3-0s. FaZe's going to have to get over the OPTIC hump. I'm not counting on them to do it right now. I think OPTIC kind of win this one, go 2-0 on the week. FaZe will go 1-1. And then last up, we've got another heater. I mean, I think Sunday's slate is really nice. LA Thieves versus the New York Subliners. This is going to be a big one for the momentum on the New York side. 2-0 week would have them feeling really, really nice and give them a lot of confidence going forward. I'm looking for the matchup. New York has been played Thieves twice this season, it looks like, but they were a long time ago. New York won the first one during the Major 2 qualifiers, and Feb 3rd, Thieves beat New York 3-0. I don't know what to think of this one. I think New York can trouble Thieves on a lot of respawns. I also like the Thieves map pool in this matchup. I'm going to go with Thieves 3, New York 2, and New York losing another game 5 heartbreaker. I can kind of see Thieves probably winning this one 3-1 as well, but I want to give New York the benefit of the doubt that they're going to show up for this one. But I think Thieves is a better team and they get it done. So yeah, those are my pick'ems for this week. We'll obviously adjust these when we're doing our live streams as we go on throughout the week, but we're going to click save. We're going to lock it in. I feel decently confident. Week 1's always hard to pick with some of these teams, especially first matchups of splits can always be a lot of upsets. So we'll see what happens, and excited to start taking a peep and watching those matches beginning at 3 p.m. East Coast time on Friday. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of the video. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. And as always, guys, we will see you on the next one.